fourth year medical student, and welcome to this video where I'll be walking you through all you need to know about UCAT 2025. If you're planning to apply to medical or dental school in the UK, the UCAT is a crucial part of the application process. So this video will be perfect on giving you the insight into what you need to prepare for in advance of your UCAT. So first things first, what actually is the UCAT and what does it stand for? So UCAT stands for University Clinical Aptitude Test, and it's required for most medical and dental schools in the UK. It's designed to test the mental abilities and attitudes and professional behaviours and knowledge of future medical and dental students. It is made up of 5 different sections: abstract reasoning, verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, decision making, and situational judgement. So the first section of your UCAT is verbal reasoning, and this tests your ability to read a passage of information and critically analyse the text. You're required to read the passage of text and then answer questions based on it. My tips for this section include practicing your speed reading and your ability to summarise the text. This will really help in this section as it is quite time pressured. Decision making is the second part of your UCAT, and here you'll face a mixture of puzzles and statistical data analysis. This is testing your ability to do puzzles with speed and jump to the appropriate conclusions. It also tests how you evaluate arguments. In this section, you'll be faced with a lot of different types of puzzles and diagrams, especially Venn diagrams. So if, like me, you weren't that familiar with them, I'd highly recommend practicing these in advance. The third section of your UCAT is the quantitative reasoning section. And in this section, all of your math skills will be put to the test. You'll be given numerical data and be required to solve problems with speed. I highly recommend brushing up on basic math skills such as percentages, ratios, and the use of graphs. This will really help you become comfortable with the math section and will allow you to answer the problems with speed. Section 4 is the abstract reasoning section, and this is all based on recognizing patterns of abstract shapes. It's testing how you recognize patterns and sequences in abstract shapes, but this is to mimic how you would do so in real life. For the abstract reasoning section, I highly recommend using examples to practice with. They often repeat similar styles of questions, so this can really help you identify patterns and sequences in the real exam. The fifth and final section of your UCAT is situational judgement. In this section, you'll be given scenarios and tested on your understanding of professionalism and ethics. To practice for this section, I highly recommend reading the GMC Good Medical Practice Guidelines. So now that you know what each section of the UCAT involves, let's talk a little bit more strategically about how you can prepare in advance of your UCAT. So here are 5 top tips that I highly recommend and that really helped me whilst preparing for my own UCAT exam. So my number 1 top tip would be to practice in advance of your UCAT exam. This is the best way to familiarise yourself with all the different sections and to get comfortable with lots of different question styles. You can do this in multiple different ways, from books to online resources. You can check the description for a couple of links to free resources that I made use of and found really helpful when preparing for my UCAT exam. Top tip number 2 is that time management is really important in the UCAT exam. This is the key to success in a lot of sections of the UCAT exam. You are limited to a set amount of time for each section, and it's worth becoming aware of how long you can allocate to each question. Here's a rough guideline on how many seconds I allocated per question. It is my personal preference, so feel free to adapt this to work for you. Tip number 3 is becoming familiar with the on-screen UCAT calculator. This will save you a huge amount of stress in your exam if you can become comfortable with it early on. For me, I was very unfamiliar with using an on-screen calculator as I had just been used to using a handheld one all through school. It's really important to be able to use this, as in certain sections, such as the quantitative reasoning section, a lot of the sums may be more challenging to do in your head. If, like me, you find mental maths more challenging, it's a really good idea to get familiar with the online calculator whilst practicing for your UCAT. It will save you a lot of stress during the quantitative reasoning sections. Top tip number 4 is to identify areas of weakness early on when practicing for your UCAT. The UCAT exam is challenging, and it is not designed to be an easy exam to sit. It focuses on a lot of different skills and knowledge that you are not tested during your AS levels and A levels. Therefore, it is an unfamiliar process, and you will have areas that you find slightly easier and more difficult than others. So I'd highly recommend identifying areas that you struggle with and focusing on these before your UCAT. This will help you familiarize yourself with the process and also to gain confidence. It's totally normal for certain students to fly in some sections and other students to struggle in those same sections. We are all very different when preparing for the UCAT, so please don't compare yourself to others, but do identify areas that you could build on so that you can get the best score possible in your UCAT. My final top tip for this video is to stay calm and focused. The exam can seem daunting and overwhelming, and it is a fast-paced exam, but it is really important that you stay focused so that you can complete as many questions as possible. If you get stuck on a question, you can simply flag it and come back to it at the end, so as not to waste time and also not to get panicked. Keeping a cool head and staying calm throughout the exam is really crucial and will help your scores immensely. UCAT testing opens in early July each year and closes at the end of September the same year. You're only able to sit your UCAT once during that testing cycle, so it is important that you feel prepared before going into this. Whilst your UCAT is important, it's also very important to take care of yourself whilst preparing. So make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, eating well, and also enjoying all the other activities that you do on a daily basis. There are lots of students around the UK and in other parts of the world that sit this exam every year. It can be daunting, but it's something that you can prepare for and also find a lot of information about online. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the description down below and I'd be happy to answer them. Please also check the description for links to various resources that I used and found helpful. And if you liked this video, please leave a like down below and subscribe to get similar content on how to prepare for your UCAT and many other aspects of applying to medical school and dental school. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next one.